Hey everybody, how you guys doing today? Thank you guys for stopping in. Got a little something we want to talk about this evening. So we're going to get right to it. Hope you guys had a great week last week, and I hope you had a great weekend this past weekend as well. So we're going to get into our conversation today. So you guys ready? Are we ready? Woo, man. Weekend was great for me as well, folks. But let's get into our conversation. All right, let's get it. Well, if it's going to be, it's up to me to fulfill my dreams and possibilities with dedication and motivation to inspire thousands from all nations. When times are tough and breaks you down, just smile with toughness and rebuild from the ground. During tough times, adversity is a lot. Just remember, time flies, but you are the pilot. What's up, folks? Let me make sure I'm centered here. Let me back this camera up a little bit. I think I'm centered. Am I centered? Let's do this again. Let's do it this way. Am I centered? Nope. Hold on. Let me go back over this way. There we are. I'm centered. Hope you guys are doing great. Give a quick shout out to Dolavera. What's happening, Dolavera? Thank you for coming in. Always a pleasure. We got Barbara in the house, in the house, in the house. Watch your mouth. We have a serious vocalist in the house, y'all. Barbara is a dynamite singer. She's a great vocalist. She sings around the Tampa Bay area. So, you know, good shout out to her. Dolavera is a colleague in the motivational speaker industry. So always a shout out to Dolavera as well. She says she's ready. You are the pilot. Let's take off. We about to do this thing, man. We about to do this thing. Drinks a little bit of my lemonade first. This is like some organic lemonade I'm drinking. Got it from Aldi's. I like to get a lot of my beverages from Aldi's, man. Aldi's got the best lemonade. They have organic orange juice, cranberry juice. Oh man, it's like loaded, folks. I'm so glad to be getting this stuff from there because it's good. I get my fresh produce from a farmer's market over in Seminole, Florida as well. Good stuff, man. I get these things called honey Bale oranges. I'll post a picture of those probably like tomorrow. Let you guys see what they look like. They are oranges that look like a bale. And they are so good. I'm telling you, I be killing them. And I ate my last one last night. So I have to go back this week over to that farmer's market and get some more of those honey Bale oranges, man. It's to dream for. I'm telling you, it is awesome. But I want to thank you guys for stopping in. Just going to give a little bit of an update. I've gotten some connections as far as cybersecurity contracts. You know, I had an event a week ago on the 5th of March. It's my celebration, my graduation party. And there were some people there that I had invited. And one of them told me, hey, man, now that you finished, I have a lot of connections, some inside connections, because they used to be like general manager material, general manager level in cybersecurity. He said, man, I can get you connected to all kinds of ways in there. I get you all, help you get all kinds of contracts, all this different kind of stuff. So I'm like, man, I am with it. I'm with it. Let's go with it. Right. So I'm very excited about that. Make sure my necktie is straight, folks. There we go. I'm thinking about as straight as I'm gonna get it for now while I'm sitting anyway. So I'm very excited about that. So I look forward to getting some contracts very soon in cybersecurity. My goal is to help as many people as I can, getting these people hired. Um, I understand that there's over 500,000 open positions in cybersecurity that is unfilled. They don't have enough people to fill them. A lot of people don't have the skill set that I've just learned. And I'm still practicing after graduation. So it's a lot to take in, folks, but dealing with cybersecurity, to my pen testing, red team, blue team, all that kind of stuff. So I'm excited about it. I got to tell you, I am very, very excited about it. Dolivera said the best salad. Oh, vinaigrette to at Aldi. Okay, I'll look up that vinaigrette salad. Dolivera, thank you for that information. And want to give a shout out to Jacqueline Richardson. What's up, Jacqueline Richardson? In the house, in the house. Watch your mouth. Thank you for stopping in. Really appreciate you. I hope you stick around. Got some little information I want to talk to you guys about. So, the guys, tonight we want to talk about intellectual intimacy in relationships. Now, you guys know relationships is not my primary platform to speak on, but due to a lot of requests, people start asking me to talk about it a little bit more. And of course, it's been some African Americans because relationships and side chicks and who's whatever and all this kind of stuff, that's like a big topic in the African American community. Let's call a spade a spade. We all know that. We know that, right? So, but let's go ahead and dive deep into it. But what I want to do, if I'm going to talk about that on my platform, I want to come from a different perspective. I want to come from a not just a different perspective, but a different angle. What do I mean by that? I want to come at a place where if I'm going to be talking about relationships, I want to talk about it in a sense of someone is going to be developing mentally within this conversation. To be exact, let me illustrate what I'm saying here. You see a lot of people on YouTube, and hello to those watching on YouTube, by the way, and Twitch. Thank you guys for stopping in. But as I'm saying, when you hear a lot of people on YouTube talk about these topics, a lot of it is degrading. A lot of it is, oh, this and that, the woman is this and the man is that. Listen, folks, let's talk about developing. Let's talk about intellectual intimacy, because intellectual intimacy has a lot to do with harmony. And I'm getting ready to get into that. So that's where I want to come from if I'm going to be talking about relationships, because business relationships to me works the same as a personal relationship. It's all about honesty and integrity. Always focusing on the other person rather than yourself. Always learning how to get out of your own way, right? If that makes sense to you guys. So that's exactly the space I want to be in when I talk about relationships. So intellectual intimacy. That means that the two of you have found that you have something in common that you deep dive into. If you both love sports, you highlight those intellectual intimacy moments. Highlight those intellectual moments. That is how you grow, folks. It's easier to grow than, you know how you hear people say, oh, we have a lot in common. Yes, that's great. It's great to have a lot in common. It's great to have one or two things in common, but focus on those two things. Fellas, learn how to talk a woman through her passion. Learn how to talk a lady through her passion. And we're talking about intellectual intimacy. If you have something that you're interested in and you see that that's a passion of hers as well, that should be your focal point. That's how you're going to grow. And you're going to find that there are going to be other things that you both are going to grow into loving together, even if you didn't love those things before. But you find those common areas between the two of you and highlight them, deep dive into them, intellect on those things. You're talking about intellectual intimacy. So when people hear the word intimacy, they thinking somebody's going to have sex. Doesn't mean that at all. Is coming together in harmony. I also like to use the term synchronicity. Let me explain to you what synchronicity is. Synchronicity is the actual term, the perfect or the correct term when using the word coincidence. You see, a lot of people like to use, oh man, it's a coincidence that we both have the same interests. It's a coincidence that we both just thought of these same things. It's a coincidence that we both have these same goals. Coincidence, folks, let me give you what coincidence means. If you look at the mathematical term, the word coincidence comes from a mathematical term called coincide. What does coincide means in mathematics? It means two angles coming together perfectly. That's what coincide means. So the word coincidence comes from the word coincide, which means, oh man, and so in other words, people use the term as a form of accident. There are no coincidences, people. So if we know that coincidence comes from the word coincide, and coincide in mathematics means two angles coming together perfectly, that means that there is no accident. There is no coincidence. If things happen by default, it happened organically. The universe provided that for us. So in other words, in that sense, it is called synchronicity. That means that two things come together and they synchronize. If you look at when you pairing your Bluetooth to your phone, or pairing a Bluetooth speaker to your phone, it is synchronizing. If you look at your email synchronizes to the email server so that everything comes together perfectly. That's called synchronization. So synchronicity, folks, is a perfect combination. So if that perfect combination comes together, then what you do is exploit it and you dig deeper into that synchronicity. And there you would have intellectual intimacy. Folks, is this making sense to you guys? Did I just put that together so fast? Look, we only about 15 minutes into the video and I done already gave it to you. I done already gave it to you. Give me the comments. Let me know if that makes sense what I just shared with you. Did that make sense, folks? Now, here's the question. Is there someone in your life that you have an intellectual intimacy with? And if it's not, would you like to have someone in your life to have intellectual intimacy with? Because when you have intellectual intimacy, everything else is greater. Everything else, the physical intimacy, the sex, all of that stuff gets on a higher level. All of them things get boosted when you have intellectual intimacy. You are in perfect harmony with your soulmate or with your relationship with that other person. You're in perfect harmony. Does this make sense, folks? Intellectual intimacy. I hope this makes sense. You guys can look it up. All it means, Billy, is that the two of you have common interests. You can read books together. If you both are readers, take the time. See, I'm going to go deeper into intellectual intimacy. If you are both readers, take the time and share what you read to each other. Take time together, quiet times, and read. Let her read what she like to read to you. And you read what you like to read to her. And based off of what you guys read, whether it don't matter if it's a paragraph or few paragraph or a page or 2 page, doesn't matter. But take that time and exploit that common interest. And then talk about what you've just read. Talk about what you've just read. And when you do that, I'm going to tell you what happens when you do that, folks. When you take that time with her and exploit that, what she has a passion for, and she does it back to you, you guys will start to develop other interests together that you may not have had an similar interest with before. It becomes a similar interest. Why is that? Because you enjoy that time together exploiting that common interest. So now you want more things to do in that common interest moment. Different things. Remember when I talked about distractions before? I said when you allow things to distract you, the universe will keep giving you more distractions by default. The same rule applies here. When you find common interests and you exploit those interests, you put energy into those interests, the universe will throw at you too more things to have intellectual intimacy about or with. You guys understand what I'm saying? Does this make sense? Talk to me. And do me a favor, let's get the likes up. I want to get those people on YouTube. Get those likes up on YouTube, folks. Get those likes up. Twitch, people who watch it on Twitch, get those likes up. And by the way, if any one of you want to follow me on other platforms, such as Twitch, LinkedIn, I see LinkedIn is live too. Thank you folks on LinkedIn. I'm sorry, I saw I left you out. But last week, you guys weren't live with me because there was some technical difficulties on LinkedIn's end. But I see they got it fixed now. So if you want to follow me on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, and even Instagram and Twitter, just follow J Hunter Lee. On Twitter, though, it will be J Hunter Lee #1 because I had to start a new page on Twitter because my original one was hacked. So I'm starting over on Twitter. So J Hunter Lee on Twitch, YouTube, LinkedIn. All right, you can find me on those platforms and Instagram. So thank you guys for doing that, and thank you guys on LinkedIn, Twitch, and YouTube. But if this is making sense to you guys, just put a hand up in the comments, say that means it makes sense to you. You guys remember Bobby Brown and Whitney Houston came out with a song, "We Got Something in Common"? Remember that? And they did. Whether it's good, for the good or for the worse, there was something they had in common. And that's another thing you have to be careful about. If you have something that's not good that you have in common, right? If you have something that is not good that you have in common with somebody else, you want to learn, you want to fix that very fast. Because what's happening is, what's happening is you could be going down a rabbit hole. You can be going down a place where you don't want to be. That relationship can also be toxic. See, you got to understand, folks, you have nourishing relationships and you have toxic relationships. There are only two kinds of relationship, nourishing and toxic. Otherwise, they're not relationships. You got to understand, there's intellectual intimacies in either toxic or nourishing relationships. Let's break down the word relationships. Relate. Relate. You're relating to one another. Whether it's good or bad, you're still relating to one another. And what does ship mean? That means you're going somewhere. So remember I told you, it could be something in common. You can have intellectual intimacies in that relationship, but where is it taking you? Prime example. If you're a crackhead and the guy or the girl you involved with is also a crackhead, guess what that is? That is intellectual intimacy. So now you smoke crack together, get high together. What is that doing to the body and what is it doing to the relationship? you're growing in the wrong direction, I would think, because you will start to want it so bad, and then you start to think about yourself. You start stealing from one another so you can go out there and pay for it. She's going to sell her body for the sake of getting high, and she might do it without, get high without you once she get what she wants. So you got to understand, you got to be careful with this as well, folks. Just because it's you have intellectual intimacy doesn't mean that it's 100% good. It could be 100% bad depending on the couple, depending on who's involved in that relationship. I hope this is making sense to you. So where are you going in life? If you want to elevate, you got to find somebody who's elevating. And as you find somebody who's elevating, find out what it is that they like as they find out what it is that you like. And when you find those common interests, once you find those common interests, then you develop intellectual intimacy on those common interests. Another example, he loved jazz, she loved jazz. When you riding together, put some jazz on the radio. And then talk about the artists on the jazz station. Oh, this is Wayman Tinsdale. What you think of Wayman Tinsdale? You like Wayman? You guys understand what I'm saying? Wayman Tinsdale is the man. Oh my God, he's the greatest bass player. Okay, Marcus Miller is next. He go Marcus Miller. You hear Marcus Miller on his bass? You both talking about Marcus Miller. She might love jazz, but might not know the artist that you know. So you say, oh yeah, I love this song. This is made by such and such. The original artist that made this was Gladys Knight. Now it's being redone by this sax player named Gerald Albright. So you start talking all of this jazz. That is called intellectual intimacy, folks. And guys, you will be surprised how much that woman will admire you for exploiting intellectual intimacy with her. Now, ladies that's watching this right now, put it in the comments and tell me if I'm right or wrong. Intellectual intimacy. Guys, if you exploit that with that woman and you throw some education in it, I'm telling you, she will adore you. I know she will. I've seen it. I've done it. So with that being said, folks, with that being said, take that moment, take that time. See, sometimes time can be spelled LOVE. Show that common interest right there. Show that common interest. If there's a common interest, exploit it with her. Now having something in common is one thing, but when you exploit that thing that you have in common, when you exploit it and you do a deep dive with it, it becomes intellectual intimacy. Ooh, y'all not ready. Y'all playing. Y'all playing, man. Y'all playing. Y'all don't hear me. Y'all don't hear me. So that's what you're doing, folks. You exploiting those common interests. You do a deep dive on them together. If she likes to go to the gym and you like to go to the gym, you go to the gym together. And as you're working out, she will show you, or you may show her, a proper way to doing a particular exercise. Oh, wait a minute, sweetie, do it. Make sure when you're doing your bench press, make sure your elbows are up. Don't try to bench press with your elbows down. You got to utilize the angles properly, because if you look like you're riding a motorcycle, you ride a motorcycle, your elbow should be up. You don't ride like this, because that could mess up your what is called a rotator cuff. You don't want to try to bench press like this. Your elbows are up, and you go up, down, up, down, up, down. I bench press 210 pounds, 20 reps in 3 sets every Monday and Wednesday. Why? People might say that's kind of heavy. And why can I do it 20 reps? Why can I do 20 reps? It's because of my form is correct. So you always, when you in the gym with her, you exploiting your common interest in a way of it becoming intellectual intimacy. You're doing it together, you're exploiting it, you're exploring it. If she liked the beach, you have a common interest of the beach. Go on the beach, walk on that beach together, and talk about the therapeutic benefits of walking barefoot on sand and on the beach, letting the salt water hit your feet. Talk about these things. Say, you know what? This is therapeutic for the body. This is very therapeutic. This is holistic. Talk about these things. Just don't do them, but talk about them. Exploit them. That's what I mean by exploiting it. Just not talking about it, but exploit it. Have those common interests and exploit them. It becomes intellectual intimacy. You guys like that? Does this make sense to you guys? I hope it really makes sense. Now, a lot of people, you hear a lot of women. Yeah, I hear on YouTube all the time. They're gonna get on different people's platforms. One woman said if he can't buy her a $30,000 diamond ring, he's an engagement ring, she's not gonna marry him. She says she won't marry him if he can't get her. And she's saying, well, if he's over 40, he should be making this amount of money. If he's not making this amount of money, what the hell he's been doing all these years? Folks, here's what you got to understand. Life is not about where you are. Life is about where you're going. You have some late bloomers, you have some early bloomers. But just because a person may be at a certain position in their life does not call for you to judge them or to belittle them. Because here's what you might find. You might find that man, ladies, that can get you a $30,000 ring. And he probably gave somebody else a $40,000 ring at the same time. You measure a man by his heart and his mind. But it's unfortunate that men are measured by what they can provide. And we wonder why Black relationships don't last. Intellectual intimacy will make a relationship last. I guarantee that. I ain't saying. I'm just saying. Intellectual intimacy. Now, if she can find a man who has a passion, who has a common interest in diamond rings, then maybe that may work for her. There it is. There's your intellect. That can be your common interest. Then develop that into an intellectual intimacy. Have conversations and go out and explore and look at different diamond rings. Does this make sense, folks? I love mansions and I love yachts. If I meet a queen, if she have those common interests, guess what? We're gonna go ride around and look at these mansions and this is where I'm working toward. This is why I got 5 businesses. That's why you see these businesses behind me here. I'm trying to work on these deals. This is hard, folks. This is not easy, man. I mean, you guys have seen me talk about deals. So many deals didn't go through. Some almost went through, and then it didn't go through. Like 2020, you guys remember I did a tour on a restaurant, a big old restaurant. Getting ready to open a restaurant, and then when COVID hit, the investors I had pulled back, and rightfully so. I would have pulled back too. Had a stage. I'm going to have jazz bands up in there and everything. I mean, we was going to have this thing smoking. It was going to be lit. So things happen. Deals, you got to keep working at deals. You got to keep working at deals. You got to keep working at deals, folks. That's exactly what that's all about. But you don't measure a guy by what he have. You measure him by what's in his heart, by his honesty, his integrity. And fellas, you do the same for women. Every woman is not a gold digger. Every woman is not just trying to live for free. But if you have intellectual intimacy with her, you will see where she's at. You will see what the things she wants to do in her life. And those intellectual intimacies can also come in the form of business for her as well, and for him. She may want to do a business where she You know, she sells makeup. That could be an interest of hers. Fellas, you ain't have to be into makeup, but it can be a common interest of yours as well. Let me tell you how. That could be a common interest of yours simply because you want to see her succeed. That alone can be a common interest, and you help her succeed by exploiting that common interest into an intellectual intimacy. You done helped her grow her business in selling makeup. You might have an interest in having a food truck, and guess what? She might have an interest in eating the same kind of food that you want to sell on your food truck. So what happens there? There's a common interest. She don't have to want to sell the food. She might have an interest in the food at some capacity, and y'all, there's a common interest. So guess what? You exploit that by trying to get yourself a food truck. And she said, "Oh, sweetie, I love to eat this. This will taste good on your truck with the type of food that you want. Oh my God, this would taste good. But you might want to add burritos to it too." And guess what happens? Y'all start exploring that possibility, that opportunity for you to open that food truck, fellas. And she helped you. Intellectual intimacy allows you to grow. Now, where you will grow is totally up to that relationship. Are you going to grow in a place where you're going up, or are you growing down? Because you can't grow down. Like I gave an example earlier, if you both smoke crack, you're growing down. You're destined for disaster because you know what drugs do to you. That's also, like I said, that's also intellectual intimacy. If you both have a nasty attitude and you like to curse people out, if you both do that, that is intellectual intimacy once you come to it. Because guess what happened? What makes that intellectual intimacy? Because the two of you come together and you talk about those individuals and say, "I wish they would say something to me. Next time they say something, I'm gonna cuss that motherfucking ass out." And you say, "Yeah, I'm gonna cuss their ass out too." That's intellectual intimacy, folks. In what direction do you think that is taking you? Up or down? I ain't saying. I'm just saying. So you got to make up your mind. What direction you want to go in your life? Are you an author? I write book. I wrote a book. I got published book. I'm about to, start working on 2 more books. I don't have to find an author, but if I do find another author, guess what happens? We're going to exploit writing books. And what typically could happen out of that? My book can be written and published faster than I anticipated. Why? Because it's been exploited because of somebody else's energy of common interest, and we turn that common interest into intellectual intimacy. Come on, folks. Y'all not with me. Y'all not with me. Y'all faking. Y'all pump faking. So I hope this makes sense to you guys. Now, by show of hands, just put your hands up in the comments if you can find a hand emoji. Put your hands up if you have experienced intellectual intimacy before. Let me see the hands go up if you have experienced that before. Now, folks on YouTube, they don't really YouTube, Twitch, and LinkedIn. They just watch. They're just watchers. They don't really comment much. But my folks who's watching on YouTube, by show of hands, if you have experienced intellectual intimacy before, and tell me how did I feel and where did that take you at that time? But I'll wait for it. Come on, folks. Come on. Don't be scared. And by the way, I hope this is helpful to you guys. I hope this makes sense in talking about intellectual intimacy. But I'm getting ready to shut it down. I just want to get show of hands of who have experienced intellectual intimacy before. And I want to know, how did that make you feel? By show of hands. How did intellectual intimacy make you feel at that moment? You know, Maya Angelou said, people might not remember what you say, they might not remember what you do. They will always remember how you made them feel. Mhm. So, since y'all so shy right now, um, I'm just about at the end of this conversation. Do you guys have any comments before I shut it down? Let me give you guys the floor for a minute. You guys have any comments, any questions that I may answer at the best of my ability? And if I don't have an answer, I'll get it. Promise you, I will get an answer. I might inbox you or say something, you know, on social media and tag. Do we have any questions before I head up out of here? And this is a short video. This is how I like to try to do these short videos, man. Sometimes it goes a little longer because I have a lot of information I want to get out there and try to do it all at one time. But I'm glad we kept it a little short tonight. So we have no questions. So I want to thank you guys for stopping in. I want you to do me 3 favors, only 3. The first favor is to share the video, okay? Share, 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 share. Please share this video, and you're gonna and if this video wasn't for you, it's okay. It's not for everybody, and I'm not looking for everybody, but share it anyway because you know someone this video could help. Don't be selfish. Don't make it about you. Share it to somebody you think what this video would do some good for. So please take the time and do that. Second, if you guys can see scrolling on the bottom, you see a Cash App $ J Hunter Lee there. I asked for $20 or less. Let me repeat that: $20 or less a donation towards the podcast. Why? Equipment. Might need to update a great laptop, camera, lighting. And if you guys can see, I got a backdrop now I've been kicking with for the last few weeks. I put the bulk of the money to it, but due to some of your donations to the podcast, I was able to use some of that towards the backdrop. So all I asked for was $20 or less. I'm not asking for a lot of money. I'm not asking for what's that, $200. I'm not asking for $50 or $60. None of that. I'm okay with money. I'm not asking for your money in that manner. $20 or less. If you send me a lot of money, if you send me something over $20, I will reject it because I'm not asking for a lot of money. Just $20 or less. Now, when I do my entrepreneur launch class, my launching business class, I will ask for more than $20 because I'm going to be teaching a class. That's the only time I'm going to be asking for more than $20. Hope this makes sense to you guys. Okay. Lastly, I want you guys to do me one last favor, and guess what that is? That, my friend, is to sing like no one can hear you, dance like no one can see you, love like you've never been hurt, and live like it's heaven on earth. I'm J Hunter Lee. I love you, and the world needs you. So stop that damn texting and driving. Peace and blessings, folks. Have a great day.